time, we look to our Commissioner Diane Hopkins, who will call for our invocation and our pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. David Eddings, our fire chief, will be blessing us tonight with his prayer. And after the prayer is over, please remain standing, pledge allegiance to the flag.
Mayor and Commissioners, I wrote down stuff today because this morning when I was getting ready for work, thought come to my head. I'm getting old enough now when them little voices start talking in my head, I try to pay attention to them. But the part in the Bible is Matthew 22, when the Sadducees, Jesus had quieted them or had silenced them. Evidently, they were gathered together and was asking questions. Well, the Pharisees decided they were going to step in and do the same thing. They saw that he had silenced the Sadducees. And one of the Pharisees, which was a lawyer, asked Jesus, no, I'm sorry, but that's what it says in the Bible. Asked Jesus, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And he was asking this question to try to tempt Jesus, try to trip him up. And Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. He said, this is the first and great commandment. And then he followed up with it and said, the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There's a lot of sermons that could be preached out of just this. But I thought about our neighbor. Our neighbor is not people that look like me, or not my neighbors, not the people on either side of my house or across the street or behind me. It's everybody in the world is my neighbor. Everybody in this room, everybody in this community is my neighbor. And I should love them just as much as I love myself. And if you've not been around me much, I'll tell you, I love me. And I've learned I can't expect other people to love me if I don't love myself. And I want other people to love me as well. But what I thought about was, God, why don't you give me a gauge, like a fuel gauge in a car? I'm old school. When I started driving, when you realize when you run out of gas, if you didn't watch that fuel gauge, you would realize when the gas emptied, when that car started to sputter, and you hopefully could turn off, get on the side of the road. Today, they've got little warnings or give you got 20 miles left or 30 miles left to empty. But I think God gives those old school gauges, and he gives them to us because it's to remind us that daily we are supposed to stay close to him. We are supposed to constantly love God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind. But if he gave us that gauge, wouldn't it be nice that when we started falling back, that there was a little warning come and said, hey, you're getting out of God's will. You're getting where you're not loving God. Because I'm guilty. I let the cares of the world, I let things interfere in my life. And I find myself all too many times putting God in the blanks that I have in my life, not in the whole of my life, and filling the blanks in with something else. So I fail at loving God every day with all my heart, with all my soul, and all my mind. I needed that this morning. And I just felt like it was something that somebody else may need too, that it's that important. And when Jesus said that all the other laws and the prophets fall behind these two, if I love God with everything I've got and I love my neighbor just the same, I don't have the envy, the strife, I don't have the anger, all that falls right into place, because I don't want to disappoint God and I don't want to hurt my neighbor. So let's pray. Dear God, I thank you for this day. And Lord, I thank you for that you still care enough about us as individuals, that you'll send messages to us, Lord. And Lord, help us as a community to learn to love our neighbor, not the one on the left or the right or across the street or behind us, but God, everyone in our community is our neighbor. And help us to learn to share that love and show that love, Lord, to say kind words to each other, to let each other know that we know they exist, dear God, that nobody walks through this world not thinking that anybody cares about them, dear God. It's real easy. It's real easy to love you with all our heart and all our mind and all our soul. Help us daily to be mindful of that. Keep us in check, dear God. Lord, as we go about this meeting, Lord, I ask that the things that are said and done in here are pleasing to you. And it's in your Son, Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chief Eddings.
I want to thank Chief Edens as well as Commissioner Hopkins for the invocation and pledge. At this time, we look to our city's clerk for the reading of the decorum. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Section 2-66 decorum. The mayor, commissioners, staff, and persons in attendance shall conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner. Except when expressly authorized by the mayor, all remarks, comments, and questions shall be directed to the mayor and not to individual commissioners, staff, or persons in attendance. A commissioner, staff, or person in attendance shall not speak at a meeting until the commissioner, staff, or person in attendance has been recognized by the mayor and granted permission to speak or ask a question. All comments, remarks, or questions made by commissioners, staff, or persons in attendance shall address the item or motion that is being discussed or be pertinent to the resolution, ordinance, or agenda item before the commission. No one shall make or use inappropriate, insulting, vulgar, obscene, and/or profane language or make any offensive remark or comments while speaking. Nor shall anyone accuse any other person of being immoral, violating any law, rule, or regulation, or committing any ethical violation. Further, no one shall use this opportunity for a public comment to speak about any activity undertaken for political reasons or ends, such as campaigning for votes before an election, campaigning for another person, making speeches, attempting to raise funds, etc., or otherwise promoting oneself or one's private position. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we will look at the agenda for tonight, and I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion to accept the agenda from our Commissioner Bennett. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second from our Commissioner Hopkins. We'll do a voice vote. District 2,
Yes, sir.
District 3,
Yes.
and District 4.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion for the agenda to be approved is approved. At this time, we look to our agenda for public remarks on official actions. Do we have anyone?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. Hearing none, we move to our executive duties, and there will be a discussion on fiscal year 2025, and you gave us some dates.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Keep in line with the charter. Once the budget was not passed, we have to start over and meet the same requirement dates. I'm proposing the following dates. As y'all know, we have other stuff going on as well. The first budget proposal will be the 17th of September. October 1st will be the public hearing. And then we request a final vote on October 15th.
Okay. Commission, you've heard the proposal dates. What is your pleasure?
Move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion for approval from our
Second.
Commissioner Hopkins, second from our Commissioner Felder. We'll move by voice vote.
Mr.
District, do you have discussion?
Mayor, discussion, please.
Okay.
Have you got a time on those dates?
Yes, they'll line up with our regular meetings, so we'll do them before the regular meetings. So we'll start, more likely be the same time, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
Okay.
3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any more comments or questions?
I have a comment, Mayor,
Okay.
regarding the budget. And I would just like to address the community and our citizens that are here. I think there has been a lot of discussion about the budget and as to the reason why this commission cannot seem to agree to pass the budget. But I want to be clear, as a commissioner, not only representing District 3, but representing this entire city, that I believe for us as a commission, that there appears to be a problem with the budget, not so much as the raises, but the problem is that the process was not followed through. And as we sit here as a commission, we're always quoting the charter and Robert's Rule of Order. Well, if we are going to approve a budget that impacts the entire livelihood of this city, then we as a commission should follow the process that we are sworn to follow. That's why we are where we are today, because the process was not followed. So I would appreciate the citizens understanding that, and as a commission, believe that we will come to a decision. But at that point in time, it will be because we have met as a commission and with the department heads and our city manager and mayor to thoroughly discuss the budget and to answer any questions that we have regarding the budget. Back to you, Mayor.
Having heard the comments and the clarity on times for the dates for the fiscal year 2025 budget, do we have any more comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move into voting by voice vote. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
and District 4.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I
sir.
do have a question.
Yes.
I'm Mr. Sean following. So we did allow the charter. Can the commission give me what we're not following in the charter so I can make sure we follow the charter exactly?
Certainly. Commissioner Felder, follow-up question or statement to the statement that was just made by our city's manager.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
According to the charter, the city manager presents the budget. He presents the first budget, then 7 days later does the public hearing, then 14 later does for approval. So they say I'm not following the charter, so I need them to explain to me I'm not following the charter because we don't want to keep doing it for that reason. So
Right.
I think the city attorney has informed the commission about how the budget is proposed, and we've been allowed with the charter the whole time. So if there's something I'm missing, I'd like to know right now so we can be prepared for the 17th.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question. And if I'm incorrect, I do look to our city attorney for correction according to the charter and our policies here at the city of Waycross. So based upon my knowledge and the information I've been provided, when there is a promotional increase as well as a reclassification of promotion and procedures for determining promotional increases, you as the city manager, it does state that you have the right to give an employee at least a minimum salary of the higher class or up to a 10% more than previous salary. Anything above 10% will require the city commission's approval. Now, on July the 15th, I submitted a request to you regarding an itemization or a breakdown of salaries for employees that you grouped under the executive. And that was you. And based upon what you provided to me, it appears that these salaries are well above 10%. Now, who the descriptions are, meaning the positions, there aren't any names, but you have a description, meaning that individual's title, and also you have the dates, the years of the actual salary earned by those individuals. When I did the math and the calculations, it appeared that several, I'm assuming these are city employees, received a raise well above the 10% salary increase that you are allowed to give. And I'm going by what you provided to me. And so as a commissioner, that's what I would like clarity on.
So I only propose one raise for 10%. I don't know who else you're speaking of at this time.
I'm looking at the numbers, Mr. Rayford, and I'll just give you an example. These are the descriptions as far as job titles, no names. You have a city manager 1, an executive assistant, a city manager 2, an assistant city clerk 1, a city clerk, an assistant city clerk 2, and then you have payroll accrual. For each of those positions, you have the actual year, FY22, 2023, FY24, and the proposed 2025 request. And I'll just use, for example, city manager 2. We recently approved a 2.5% COLA raise that all of our employees received. You're also proposing a 1% raise for the FY25 budget. So with city manager 2 for fiscal year 2023, the actual salary is $34,269. You multiply that times 10%, that comes to a total of $37,696. It was 695.90, but I rounded it off to 696. That should be the FY23 actual salary for that employee. Now, for FY24, even though I requested this back in July around the 15th, on this form for FY24, you gave me the salary for that individual as of March 31st, 2024, in the amount of $81,813. That employee went from $34,269 in 2023 to $81,813 in 2024 as of March 31st, 2024.
Can I
That's,
ask that?
I'm not finished, please. Thank you. That's a difference of $44,118 and that's over the 10% salary increase. That's about 139% salary increase. So this individual went from a 76,154 total from 37,696 to what you're proposing in FY25, $113,850. And also on this same detail of city manager salaries budget that you provided for me, for city manager 1, I can only assume who that is, you gave me a total for FY22 of $67,306. I'm not sure who that individual was as the city manager 1 at that time, but for 2023, 2024, and 2025, you did not provide me any totals for this particular position for city manager 1. And looking at the overall total for your request for 2025, it amounts to $236,959. That does not include the salaries for city manager 1 for the previous years that I just mentioned. And this is where I have questions, Mr. Rayford.
Let me answer that. This is important. Greg, you want me to answer this for her? Okay. So that's the same person, and it goes through FYs. So when I got here in March, my salary went from March to July, meaning I didn't get my total $110,000 salary. So that'd have been city manager 1, meaning I would have got whatever that was, $30,000. In the next fiscal year, I would have got my entire salary, which would have been the 110 plus the 250. So it'd have been a difference. The same thing when they brought on whoever is the city clerk, that's that position too. Same thing with them. When they came on the board, you don't count the whole year's salary for FY 22, 23, or 24. You count the period of time that was here.
That's
So it
correct.
breaks down that way. So it does increase over time, with the end was being, the total being 200,000. That means you add all the previous years. So that's how I broke it down that way. So back to the city manager 1 or city manager 2, how they carried that I wasn't here the whole year for city manager 1. So whoever before me didn't get a salary. I got a salary from March to June. Am I correct? Greg, explain that to the commission.
Right.
Yes. So that's why it's broken that way. There were no increases. They just show my accumulated salary from one point in the fiscal year to the next point in the fiscal year. And then the next year, I would get my whole salary, which would have been the 110 plus my gas allowance and things of that nature, if we're referring to the city manager report. So, but that was an issue. Like I said, that's the 5-second explanation. We need to explain that, which I can do like right now. We need to go ahead and talk about those positions.
I don't agree to go into a 5-second explanation about a budget that's over millions of dollars concerning this city.
I got you, Commissioner, but the way
I
you
think
tried
that
to,
if we would have had a retreat and to actually break down and discuss this, we wouldn't be where we are today.
yes, Commissioner, I'm simply saying that
Thank you.
that's a simple answer there. It's my whole salary is never covered in the fiscal year periods. If we're trying to make it to be something else, then we can, but like I say, that city 1, that's me before I got here. City 1 and city manager 2, that's me when I'm here. And then 3 is my total salaries from 1 and 2. Now that I'm here for the total year. But we can go back and do it again if necessary. There's no problem, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. The reason that we're going to go into the hearing for these 17th, 1st, and 15th, and I know that we have not yet approved the date by vote yet, or we did do it just 2, 3, and 4. But what we needed to do is make sure that any questions you may have, like those questions, can be addressed in our next time through. Okay.
And
Any further questions,
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Harper?
and the next what now? The next,
We have the fiscal year
17th.
2025 budget discussions on the 17th, 1st, and 15th.
and that's when you want us to discuss it.
to ask any questions you may have. If there's something that needed to be removed or added, the commission has the right to talk to you during that time frame and make those decisions, as opposed to how we've done lately, just kind of hold it out, and then finally we ask our questions. But I think the questions have been asked, but they were asked in email and there were responses given, but clarity was not understood at the time. So now we're going to have that opportunity to take what was written, what was spoken, and bring a consensus, hopefully.
I have one question for the city manager. So you're saying city manager 1 is you and city manager 2 is you. Is that correct?
It's all the same person. They're just calculating my salary through the physical years. I got here in March of 23 to 24. So that period of salary, I did not accumulate my whole 110. So whatever that was, that's what I got. The next fiscal year, I got the rest of my salary. So that adds together, that compound interest, that's my whole salary. So that's one person. That's not different people getting different monies. That's me getting my entire salary over those fiscal years. And there's a total section in there, with my total salary being from me getting here to now, which probably is up to that point at this time, because I'm here a year and a half. So, and the same thing with the other positions that might be classified, it appears to be 2 people, but that means that person got here at a certain period of time, they didn't get their full, and it's throughout any new hires we had that came here during that time frame that didn't get their full salary. So in FY23, they came in the middle, they're only going to get that portion of their salary. They can't get their whole salary. And then the next fiscal year, they will get their whole salary. So it would be a jump. It's not a pay increase. It's just somebody getting their whole salary that it was supposed to get. So
Okay, I have one other question, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner.
Okay, so the other raises that these positions or whatever, okay, they were more than 10% as well
Yeah.
that you're proposing.
there were no raises proposed over 10% in this budget outside of the one that was proposed. And that was done according to the charter and our city handbook that each of you had a copy of. Each of you had read the ordinance and as you were the resolution that you all voted on. And you also got a copy of the handbook that states 10%, and also states if I want to go higher, which you all recognize, I will bring before the commission. That the rest of the increases in salary, if there are anybody else through the budget, it's an accumulation over the years, different budget years. If somebody came in FY 23-24, the previous salary for that position might have been 0. And now they're coming in and they whatever they got in for these 8 months, it will reflect in. Now coming in for the proposed salary, which where they came in would be the total amount. So if I came in that position in 2024 or 2023, it was not filled, $0. 25, I came in March. My salary was $50,000, but I came in late half the time, $25,000. Now I'm proposing my actual salary, which is $50,000 in this budget. So thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
So in 2022, you wasn't here in 2022, right?
I was not, Commissioner.
So, but on that report, it shows the salary in
They
2022.
covered the last 5 years, going back. It went back 5 years.
Okay, but that wasn't your salary in 2022.
I
Is
was
that
not here.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so the ones that you proposed for 2025, that total salary at the end is accumulative of totals, or that's just a current thing that you're
That would be
proposing?
my salary in my contract.
No, I'm talking about the other positions.
That would be the
pos-
salary in their contract.
Okay, so that total in 2025 is what they're expected to get paid?
Yes.
Well, those were more than 10%.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Commissioner, this time. I mean,
Okay.
I mean,
Let us, just for my own personal help here, let us have that conversation when we get into our budget meeting so we can ask those questions. But I think these are good questions to put before you so that when that time comes and we actually address it, you have time enough to show the paperwork on all of these things, which of course you've already done, but just going back and clarifying what those things mean.
I need an understanding because this looks like more than 10% to me.
Right. So
So I
we'll
need
get in that discussion then.
clarification,
I think that'd be wise.
It's only on 1 or 2 people.
Mhm.
It's not on everybody.
So we'll have that discussion.
But I have one more question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
But Mr. Huey, am I correct? You're our legal attorney. Anything over 10%, he has to bring before us.
That is correct. It
And
requires
these
commission approval.
accumulated, these totals at the end that are proposed for 2025 are more than 10%. So he has to bring that before us before he can approve that. Is that correct?
You have to approve anything above 10%.
Right. Thank you.
And just for another thought that crossed me while we were thinking, this is a presentation of the budget. So this is like before you make an approval of it, each one of us is looking at it now. So that's the same as having presented it, or it is the purpose of presenting it now. So later on, if we make that decision will have been he presented it to us and then we approved or not approved. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And when you have your hearing, I would suggest that you just actually look at the pages of the budget with the manager, and so he can explain the figures.
Yes, sir.
We did that agree.
All right. Any further questions or comments of our city's manager? If not, we'll
Mr.
hear
Mayor,
his report.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason I did not vote to pass the budget is because I had questions like we just talked about. And so till I can get clarification, what this is all about and where the money's coming from in our budget for 2025, that's why I want to clarify that before I make a final decision about voting on that. So hopefully, when we meet again, all my questions will be answered.
Correct. Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner. And Commissioner.
I'm gonna just brief. We've been over this with the city manager, Greg, even when the other commissioner was here. And we just keep going over and over and over. Papers was presented, handbooks was presented. We just focus on one or two people. And we making it out as if the whole budget is being affected. But it's not. We focus on one or two people raise. And that's not right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Read our
Mayor.
official report.
Mayor,
Yes,
I have a comment.
Commissioner.
With this budget, and when it comes to giving raises to employees, you have to be fair across the board. And we want to make sure that that is happening for all city employees and that there is no favoritism being shown, and also that there are no employees getting raises that others are not having privy to. It has nothing to do with someone being targeted or someone having an issue with an employee at the
Pass the
city
budget.
getting, excuse me, I have the floor.
Pass the budget.
I have the floor.
Commissioners, continue.
Thank you. It has nothing to do with an individual here at the city. We have to make conscious decisions concerning the city's budget. And based upon what I'm aware of, this city has been in a deficit in the past. And when that happens, it's too late to say what we should have done, what we should have discussed, why this was not found out, or why this was not addressed. We have to address these issues and these concerns now in a very respectful and decent manner. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just have to,
Yeah.
it's a note, just to clear, put a note. And then we turn the books over again, because this question was asked before.
Yes, sir.
But you want notes for FY 2025. Salary includes city manager, executive assistant, city clerk, and city assistant clerk. So the accumulation total, that is everybody, So once again, there were no raises for anybody, but that's underneath my budget area.
Understood.
So, we did go back and answer this question, make sure that's stated.
Yes, sir.
And we did redo the books, and we did resend the books to everybody.
And those of you who know about the book, we all have the copies of the book. So if you had need of one, I believe even placed it on it's on the website, I believe, as well. So you can go out and look at it. So you have the opportunity to quiz, question, those things are there. Okay. Mr. City Manager, if you will, would you make your report?
Mr. Mayor, I did not post the city report this week. It'll be posted in the morning. The city update will be conducted by the business integration director and the finance director on Thursday. I will be taking some vacation days. And that's all I have time to report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. With that being said, I will go to my report, and my report is really about public service announcements. We have a few things going on in the community, one of which happens to be a band coming in to celebrate while we're in the city of Waycross. So you see the flyers in the hallway. Make sure you get a copy of the flyer before leaving tonight. And this will be, if I'm not mistaken, South Carolina University will be here. And so we're looking forward to that. And the date given for that date, do you all have flyers? Yes. Okay. So if you look at your flyer, it'll tell you specifically the time and date for that event, and we look forward to having that day. Okay, and that's what I have. And now I look to our city's clerk for our consent calendar.
Yes, sir. On consent calendar, there are no approval of minutes, no ordinance second readings at this time, no privilege license renewals at this time. Mr. Mayor, back to you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. At this time, since we have no other business before us besides a resolution, we'll go to that.
A resolution of the city of Waycross, Georgia to hold the city commission work session set for the Monday before the first Tuesday in the month of September 2024 on September the 3rd, 2024, and for other purposes. By adopting this resolution, the city commission will approve rescheduling the work session currently scheduled to be held on Monday, September the 2nd, 2024, which is the Labor Day holiday, to be held on Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024 at 3 p.m. prior to the regular city commission meeting at 5 p.m. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commission, you've heard the resolution read by our city's clerk. We just need to have an approval of this in order for us to enjoy the holiday.
Move for
So
approval.
we have a motion from Commissioner Bennett. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
There's a second by our Commissioner Hopkins. We're moving to voting, but we'll do this by voice vote. And so District 2,
Yes, sir.
District 3,
Yes.
and District 4.
Yes.
Very good. This resolution passes, and we go to our next resolution, Madam Clerk.
A resolution of the city of Waycross, Georgia for the adoption of policies and procedures and program designs for Community Home Investment Program, CHIP, grant number 2024-119, to authorize the mayor to sign all related resolutions and program documents in connection with said grant award and for other purposes. By adopting this resolution, the city commission will authorize the mayor to sign multiple resolutions, forms, and documents for the city's adoption of policies and procedures and program design for the CHIP grant number 2024-119, including the Southern Georgia Regional Commission CHIP Grant Administration Contract. Right, you, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner, you have heard the resolution read by our city's clerk. What is your pleasure?
Move for approval.
Have a motion for approval by our Commissioner Bennett. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
We have a second by our Commissioner Hopkins. Any discussion or questions or need of discussion? Hearing none, we'll move into voting. We'll do a voice vote. District 2,
Yes, sir.
District 3,
Yes.
and District 4.
Yes.
Thank you, Commission. We have passed another resolution. At this time, we move into our last call. We'll start with our Commissioner of District 2.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And I want to say, whenever I don't say much, but when I do say something, I mean it from the heart. I do it because I believe in my passion in the seat and for the city and for the city workers. So I would never come to you with misinformation. Never. I believe everything that's rightfully due to you all should be given, even to the citizen of Waycross. And I just want to say thank you for coming here, taking your time out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. District 3, Commissioner Felder.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you for your input regarding your concerns for the city. Back to you, Mayor.
And District 4, Commissioner Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, don't forget the band's coming to town. We can thank Miss Katrina for all that. That's something that's going to be exciting for the city. And Katrina, do you have the dates on that now?
It is the halftime show Thursday, August the 29th at 5:30 p.m. And this is for the Ware County JV football game at Memorial Stadium. This is for the South Carolina State University Marching 101 Band. They put on an amazing performance, and it is something that you do not want to miss.
Thank you. We're so glad that she's inspired this group to come here, and I hope everybody will go out and support them and show them how interested we are in our community for White Cross. And I want to say one more time, the reason I did not vote to pass this budget is because I still had questions. And as long as I sit in this seat and my mind is not cleared about some questions that I've asked and not received answers, then we will address that on September the 17th. And I will try to see if I can get the answers that I've asked for. And I thank you very much for attending and thank you for your community input. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, do we have an executive session, Mr. Attorney?
No.
No, okay. Hearing none, I want to thank everyone for being here and thank you for your time. At this time, we will call this meeting adjourned in just a few moments, but I wanted to make sure that we make a note of the passing of Dr. Pat Mills. Her service will be this coming Saturday at Big Bethel Church at 12 noon. And she was a great educator here in our community, and we do want to support the family. So we look forward to being a support to the family of Miss Pat Mills, or Dr. Mills. With that, I say this meeting is adjourned.